Hello, welcome to this module on ayahuasca and your personal preparation. I want to start off by saying that begin with the assumption that you are whole, you are holy, and you are completely complete, and that any of the sacred work that you're embarking on is just remembering that you are whole, holy, and complete. There's a quote by Rumi that says, "Don't look to where love and wholeness is missing in your being and in your life. Look to the barriers that you've accidentally put up against love and holiness and wholeness." So just begin with that assumption and you'll be a happy camper. So here I am in the Garden of Eden in the Sacred Valley of Peru. I'm going to walk this spiral as we begin this module. So, ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is a powerful plant teacher. In many cultures, it's referred to as the grandmother, the mother. Why? Because you'll find that in ayahuasca ceremonies, you always get what you need. You always receive the blessing, the healing, the insight, the creativity, and the activation that you need. So we always start by setting our intentions and doing our sacred preparation work, because ayahuasca always loves when you come in a good way and in a prepared way. And you ask for what you need. So a good question for you to start asking yourself as you embark on this quest is, if you could ask Goddess or God, Spirit, ayahuasca, for any kind of healing or clarity or inspiration, what would you ask for? Reach for the stars, because why not? And even if you fall short of the stars, you're a lot higher than you would be if you asked for little crumbs. So ask for that which is your biggest desire, your biggest healing, your biggest clarity. Perhaps there's a theme to your life that is creating sabotage or disconnection or sadness. And this pattern, these patterns can be rampant. This is a really narrow path with a lot of beautiful plants flirting. So ayahuasca, they call it a master plant teacher, and it really has a wisdom in and of itself that will be bestowed to you. Another way to think of ayahuasca is it's like Harvard for the soul. And I've heard, I've read, I've seen participants receive huge blessings that they could have never imagined themselves even worthy of from these ceremonies. And one can accomplish 10 years of healing in just one ayahuasca ceremony. I know I have, and I know that the participants have made huge shifts in the way they think of themselves, their identity, their lives, their romantic partnerships, their career, their entrepreneurialism. Maybe they switch paths, or they integrate more of what they want in their day-to-day work. You can be in talk therapy for 10 years, and in one ayahuasca ceremony, you can leap forward, hop forward in your human evolution. So, more about ayahuasca. I'll share a personal story, and it's one of gratitude and of miracles. Expect miracles on this quest. When I first heard about ayahuasca, I was very intrigued, and the reason I started to become curious about this healing modality is because I had done years and years of personal development work, and it's crucial to do, clean up the mind, clean up the intellect, become aware of where you've been unaware, unconscious, and really take personal accountability for how you are creating your life. Another assumption that is a great assumption to hold in yourself is that the universe wants your success, wants you to succeed, wants your financial abundance, wants your joy, wants your creativity, wants your connection. Just assume that, and then meet life halfway, do your work. And so I'd been doing my work for many years, but I kept hitting a wall in terms of, okay, I'm really aware that I'm sabotaging in romantic partnership. I'm really aware that I'm stuck in judgment and stuck in my head. I'm really aware of these patterns. And I can't seem to get to get rid of that stuckness, of that pattern, of that stinking thinking that keeps on sabotaging. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's time to do some deeper, like body, heart, root chakra work. And after researching ayahuasca for a couple years, I realized, okay, this is something that's gonna, if I show up in a good way and do my preparation and work with a high vibe tribe and very experienced medicine carriers and shamans, if I come in a good way, this will bring me closer to myself, to the integrity of my whole being and wholeness. And so that's when I decided I wanted to do ayahuasca. So I went to Peru, and there was two ayahuasca ceremonies changed my life, and you can expect miracles from this work. The first was I got to the root of why I kept sabotaging my relationships and kept disassociating from intimate connections and hiding and not wanting to be seen. I got to the root of it in one ceremony, and I was taken to my childhood when I was 8 years old, and there was something that happened in my family where, as an 8-year-old kid, I didn't understand the adult world. I didn't understand what my mom and my dad had to go through to make the marriage work. And I didn't understand the level of hunger and lack of nourishment that was happening in my family unit. And so there's an experience, an originating moment, a genesis moment, where I decided, I committed to this belief that humans are not trustworthy, that you cannot trust human beings, you can't trust women, and you can't trust men. And then that planted a seed in my being from 8 years old that grew and grew and grew and grew and filled up my mind, filled up my emotional body, and became a basis for how I thought of human beings. If you can't trust humanity, you pretty much take out all the human species, and of course it's going to create sabotage. So that was mine. That was one of my originating moments where I decided I can't trust human beings. And then that became unconscious somewhere along the way. I forgot about that moment. I forgot I made that decision. And then I started to relate to that as if it was the truth. And that was buried so deep in my being that I wasn't conscious of it. And it lived down here in the unconscious root realm. And in this ceremony, I'm getting to the center of the spiral here. In that ceremony, I was shown this moment. I was shown that I had made that decision and accidentally started pushing love away and sabotaging connection, and then being really confused as to why I did that. Well, in our emotional and our spiritual body, we get charges stuck. They can become stuck in our body. And these emotional charges wreak havoc if not felt. You got to feel it to heal it. And that's a lot of what this work is about. You feel things that otherwise cause you anxiety and frustration and confusion. And instead of running away from that and compensating over and over and over in this kind of unconscious, habitual pattern, you feel it. You remember that you're whole. You remember that it is all sacred, and that even this muck, even this tragic, anxiety-provoking shit that you don't want in your life, that you seem to have no control over, that even that is sacred. That's our human experience. That is your teacher, and you can relate to anything that happens in your life as the beloved, as a beloved sent to teach you and to free you and to remind you that you were already free and that you've already won because you're already one, and that this can't be undone. So, at the end of this ceremony, I said, okay, Source, God, Goddess, Spirit, I get it. And I was able to feel the emotions of my mother during that time in her life. I was able to feel the pain and frustration of my father. And then I was also able to feel myself as a little kid that made a decision that in that moment was reasonable. But as an adult, we now have the compassion, we have the understanding, we have the perspective, we have the God's eye view, the bird's eye view of the human experience. And through compassion, I just, it was almost like a shame that I had been so judgmental of my mother and my father and of myself. Because, you know, I was paying a really heavy price to keep that unconscious pattern going. And so I asked God, please remove this seed that had become a huge tree that was taking up so much space in my mind, heart, soul, and emotional body. And this hand came down, grabbed the trunk of the tree, uprooted it, and then I purged, and I purged again. And the first breath I took after that moment of purging was the first breath of the rest of my life. This is what's available to you. This is a miracle. I didn't even know this was possible because there was so much unconsciousness around it. And ever since then, you know, people say, oh, you got to work for years and years and you know, it's a lifelong thing. And yes, that's true. That's true. We do our work. We're always on a path. And you can expect miracles because from that moment on, my life has never been the same. And now there's a spaciousness in my being that just wasn't there before. And that has freed up all kinds of flow and insight and just spaciousness to design my life from love, to go towards love, and to design my reality from love versus fear. So this is the kind of thing you have to start to look at. It's like, if you could ask for anything, if you could be rid of anything, if you could heal, if you could complete broken relationships or a trauma that you experienced in your life, whether it was emotional or sexual or mental or some kind of neglect, and just valuing of the pricelessness that you are, you can start to think, what would you ask for? What would you want clarity, or what kind of healing would you want? And no request is too big, because remember, the universe wants you to succeed. You're already whole. You're already free. Let's just remember and get all those barriers that we accidentally put up reasonably to protect ourselves, but let those go, because sometimes we put up a wall and it ends up being a cage. And if you're ready to let yourself be free, if you're ready to give yourself permission to be in your creativity, in your genius, in your joy, just give yourself the permission and then take the steps necessary to unpack anything, any emotional charges that are stuck, any programming that keeps you trapped in these dead-end loops. Give yourself permission to be free, and then just unpack it. And you'll see that the whole time you've been free, and you've been perfectly perfect and whole. So here we are at the center. If this isn't proof of some divine, intelligent, loving mathematician that has created existence, if this isn't proof, this just naturally happens, of some higher benevolent divine unfoldment going on here, with all this variety of plants and trees, and then these sacred plant medicines that once we ingest can heal us, can free us, can work with us to become more of what we already are, more full of our brilliance and our radiance. This isn't proof of something special. I don't know what is. So, let's see if there's, I'm going to start unwinding now. Let me tune in. Let me tune in here. One thing I want to say about the design of this program is that it's crucial that you be in a secure, safe, and sacred, well thought out, well prepared container. This is the reason for this module, because there's a lot of eco-tourism, ayahuasca, plant medicine tourism happening in the world, and to be honest, I'm glad for that. Because this modality, these teachers, it's just, I've found no deeper healing work than this. And this is why I like to do this work, because I'm all about deep, lasting, transformational experiences and offerings. And for me, ayahuasca has been a huge part of that. With that said, with all this kind of one-stop shop, conveyor belt ayahuasca experience, you have to really find a tribe or a group and give yourself the permission and the time to take time out for yourself healing, your self-love, to really create a contrast of your regular day-to-day, go-to-go, to produce, to work, masculine kind of existence, to give yourself a time out or a time in. Call yourself in so that you can, look into your vehicle, into your vessel, into your thinking, your thoughts around your life, and make sure you can tune up, re-energize, rejuvenate. And so going back to the importance of doing this work in a good way, with good preparation, with a high vibe, heart-centered, earth-loving, spirit-driven tribe, which is what this is, the preparation, the integration work, and then during the journey, the results exponentially multiply. And so know that why I do this, why I offer these modules, is so that you can be really well prepared to go on this sacred, deep, healing, inspiring, activating journey. Give yourself that time. And integration is key. The ayahuasca ceremony is just one part of it. Then there's a lot to unpack. And the work, the medicine continues on in your body, in your life, in your thoughts, in your emotions, long after. I can say that I've been part of another plant medicine, which is called San Pedro. The local Quechua people call it Huachuma, which is more the proper name versus the Spaniard San Pedro definition. But there was a ceremony I did, which is a 12-hour long dance where you dance in a circle with the tribe for 5 hours during the night, and then another 5 hours. And some of the insights and the experiences, the emotions that I felt, I'm still integrating, and that was a year ago. So this isn't like a one-stop shop, you're in, you're out, done. No, this is a path. This is a path we're walking like we're walking here. And it will open your life up to a spaciousness that you never knew, to a sacredness, to a holiness, to a connection with Pachamama, Mother Earth, and the mountains. And just all these plants, all this stuff is alive. These plants are alive. And as modern tribes, especially city dwellers, a lot of us have forgotten what it feels like to be truly connected to Source, to Spirit, to deepen your spirituality in an embodied way. Not just thinking about God or Goddess or Spirit and like doing all the really hard work to be healthy and suffer at a diet because it's good for you. No, you can feel Spirit flowing through your veins. And that's one of what a lot of participants said, is like, I didn't realize how disconnected I was. Because when we're in the mechanical kind of paranoid matrix, produce paradigm, which, bless it, I'm not trying to make it wrong, bless it, there's like so much beauty and efficiency in that system. But at the expense of us being really connected to the plant world, to Pachamama, knowing that Spirit is actively trying to bestow you with blessings, and to recognize that there's so much to be grateful for. If you're watching this, you have the means for a computer, for an iPhone, to go on a journey like this, to give yourself the time for self-healing and self-love. Self-love's a foundation. So this is a path that I'm offering and opening up. And it's been 3 years now, and I'm still connected to all the participants that have ever come, and seeing people make changes in their lives. Like I saw a participant, her transformation was ridiculous. She awoke her inner priestess warrior and had started to lead sound healing circles and cacao ceremonies and drum circles, and she lives in San Jose, and she's bringing that wisdom, that medicine. A brother realized he was ready to propose to his partner, and that was a huge threshold he went through. Another brother realized that he had been isolating and hiding excessively, and that a lot of his sadness or frustration in life was that he was disconnected. And so he immediately became part of several communities and tribes in the Bay Area, and then also started dating, which is another big one. Fear around dating, around receiving our partner, our best friend, our best lover, and beginning that romantic relationship that feeds the soul. Other brother has also declared himself a poet, and for years he was afraid to to declare that, and has been sharing his poetry on Spirit Quest, online, started a podcast. So what I'm saying is that all this is here for you, these plant medicines, this tribe, this experience is just to remind you that you're free, that you're whole, you're holy, you're complete, that there's nothing wrong with you, and that there's opportunities for growth. That all of this pilgrimage, this human journey that we're on, it's all here for us. All of this is here for us. It's a Garden of Eden for us to play, to remember, to come home to ourselves in a deeper and deeper way. And then there'll just be more opportunities for even more depth, more joy, more bliss, more connection, more abundance, more financial abundance, more clarity around your true purpose and your true calling. And you sometimes in this work, we can get pretty serious, because it's serious, sacred work. And yes, it is. But at some point after doing so many years of personal development work, I'm like, okay, so we're promised joy and self-expression and connection and financial abundance. And like, when does it start? After 15 years of personal development, I've been thinking about it as something over there that'll happen someday, somewhere, fantasy thinking. No. This container is also about joy and about tribe and about connection, mutual support. And so joy is a huge healer. Being in our creativity heals, because it's now. It's about this moment. How you do this moment is how you do all moments. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And so in preparation for the work, yes, like come in a good way with solid, grounded, earthy intentions. And then also allow yourself to enjoy this journey. I'm reminding myself here, because sometimes I get lost in the seriousness of it. But we can also be hilarious. So that's it for now. I'm going to set you up with some Om work. Much love.